listening to the DOL Pod, brought to you by the Office of Digital and Online Learning at Howard University.
Greetings and welcome to our next episode of DOL Pod, which stands for Digital and Online Learning Pod, and that's here at Howard University in our Office of Digital and Online Learning. I am excited to be the host of today's episode. I'm Dr. Morris Thomas, and I serve as the Assistant Provost of Digital and Online Learning here at Howard University. We have a great guest with us today, Dr. Ouida McAfee, and I call her Dr. O. And Dr. McAfee is the director of the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning at Coahoma Community College. I also had the pleasure of meeting Dr. O as my cluster coach in an HBCU faculty fellows program that's being provided by the Propel Center or Propel Learn. And so it has been a pleasure to get to know her. Just to give you a little bit of information about her, she's been in higher education for more than 2 decades. You might not believe it from looking at her. More than 2 decades of higher education. The length and breadth of her academic career has given her an acute awareness of the level of misinformation and information overload learners are exposed to, and she's passionate about closing the gaps in navigating the college system, regardless of learners' socioeconomic background or unique educational needs. Without further delay, I want to welcome Dr. McAfee to our podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Well, thank you for being here. Dr. McAfee, tell us just a little bit about you.
Sure. I partner with learners to reach their academic goals with confidence and to help them save money. That's my passion. That's what I do. And I've had the fortunate, opportunities of being employed at for-profits, nonprofits, state colleges, private colleges. And so with that experience, that helps me to reach that goal of helping students to navigate college. And I'm from Stuttgart, Arkansas, and it is the rice and duck capital of the world.
Oh, awesome.
Fun
Well,
fact.
that is amazing. I love how you just basically got right down to the brass tacks and talked about that you're there to serve all learners and also help them save money, which is a huge service. So that is amazing right there. And what would be right now top of mind for you?
What's top of mind for me right now is collaboration. So again, growing up in Arkansas, Mississippi Delta, at our church history had truths like after desegregation, the buses would come late to pick up children from certain neighborhoods. And so the members and deacons of the church would get long bed trucks and trailers and put pews on them and take the children to school so that they would arrive on time. When my mother had me, my grandfather said, who was the pastor at the time, he said, well, who else doesn't have childcare? And so then they opened a licensed daycare at the church. And then there were the elderly who weren't eating consistently healthy meals. And so the church partnered with Meals on Wheels. And so that history is in me. And so collaboration is in me. So in collaborating, I'll give you some examples. And by collaborating, you really find out what's in people. So, and it takes courage to collaborate and to share information. So information is coming and changing at a rapid pace daily as technology forces innovation. We know this. So let's work together and bring awareness and remove obstacles. You and I were in a meeting where we were talking about sharing AI tools, artificial intelligence tools. And
Yes.
in that meeting, I was exposed to a new tool called Magic School. And so I took 5 minutes and used it to create a PowerPoint on research posters, and then created a infographic to go with it in Canva. And so it's the collaboration, the sharing of ideas that's top of mind for me right now.
Collaboration, and then you delve into how we can actually, being that this is the DOL pod, how can we can leverage some digital tools to actually be collaborative? So you mentioned Canva, and then what was the actual AI tool that you mentioned?
Magic School.
Magic School. So listeners, Canva and Magic School are two digital tools that can be leveraged to deal with collaboration, which is always something we're trying to do, whether we're collaborating with our learners or with our colleagues or with external stakeholders. This may or may not be related, but what is Dr. O's current soapbox moment? What do you want people to do more of or stop doing?
Well, my soapbox moment is debunking the myth that if you don't struggle, then your work is subpar. And, I understand, and I know it's some people's truths. I walk 5 miles to get to school. I really appreciate that. But now I have options. This is part of my soapbox. I think that sometimes as educators, we don't realize or think about the fact that people have options.
I love that. And I often say that rigor doesn't equate to rigidity. And that's related to the comment you made about struggling. If you're not struggling, that doesn't mean that you haven't, done something. And I think that is a misnomer, that there also has to be struggle. Another thing that I've also said, Dr. O, is that when you really are teaching well, or what we more so say in our field, facilitating learning in a manner that is appropriate, a lot of the struggle and complexity is removed. So the better the learning facilitation, the better the learning environment, the better the leveraging of teaching methodologies and theories, it should really increase the ease and the pleasant aspect of the learning experience. So I would say that I concur and can identify with your soapbox moment. Something I like to know from our guests is, what is your favorite student moment? Working with students, or even, I know you lead a teaching and learning center, so your students could be faculty members, or it could be the benefit of your faculty members to their students. But what is your favorite student moment that you would like to share with us?
Well, I have a couple that kind of go with my soapbox moment. I really like that we have tools like Immersive Reader that are now in the learning management system to support learners, so that there's not shame or stigma attached to learning challenges. So I'm really liking that tool. My proudest student moment digitally is the Propel app. So Propel, the Propel Learn app is a new app that is for HBCU students specifically, as you know, and it includes scholarships, internships, and micro-credentials. And so I'm really excited for our students that they are exposed to the latest technology like cybersecurity accelerators, where they're able to go in and actually utilize and be taught in a way that is specific to the demographic.
So I want to just reiterate and remind our listeners of these tools. So starting with the latter, the Propel Learn app, and we'll be sure to make sure that we drop this link under this podcast for anyone who's interested. Please tell us, Dr. O, for the Propel Learn app, you mentioned that it's specifically for HBCU students. So sorry for our non-HBCU listeners, because we will have a broad audience. But for our HBCU colleagues and students out there, is this app and are these courses free for our learners?
They are. They are. And I would like to share with your listeners something that was new to me before coming here, is that our college, Coahoma Community College, is an HBCU. And I think that there are many people who may not be aware that there are community colleges that are HBCUs. And so this is why our students are able to get into those free courses, those free micro-credentials.
And for those who don't know, Coahoma Community College is in Clarksville, Mississippi.
Yes.
Um, so Dr. O, you also mentioned immersive reader. I also like immersive reader. Can you just give a layman's definition of what immersive reader does or what it is? Just kind of some for those who may not, because some of our members who or listeners may not have the educational ed tech background or instructional technology background that you or I would have. So can you
Sure.
just kind of let them know what the functionality or what that tool does?
Sure. Immersive Reader is in Microsoft Office or Office 365, and it's in any of those. It's in Microsoft Word. It's all throughout the suite. And what it does, it assists in reading. So, for example, if someone has dyslexia, and you don't, what the wonderful thing about this tool is, you don't have to have a challenge. We know that when we sit at computers every day, it can cause eye strain. And so one of the things that immersive reader is contrast, which is good for people who have different challenges, but it does reduce eye strain because you can see the words more clearly. It also has several different languages with translators. It has the ability to identify parts of a sentence. It has the ability to show a picture of a word. So this tool is a great tool for your children, for you, for your learners. And again, this is where the collaboration comes in. These are things that we need to share in our civic groups and in our families and in our communities.
Absolutely. And I love immersive reader. It really does complement and support universal design for learning principles because it does lend to multiple means of expression, engagement, and representation. And so it speaks to the various senses. So it deals with the oral or the hearing aspect, as well as the visual, as well as the aspect about the languages, like you said, the translation. So it has a lot of great functionality. I do like it. And you can use it, as you mentioned, you don't have to actually have a documented disability to use it or to need it, but it can benefit you. And it's just another tool to enhance the learning environment and learning experience. So thank you for sharing that. Is there a DOL or digital or online learning tip that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes. And it doesn't have to be, when we're sharing these tips, I like the tips that aren't that deep.
Yeah.
So a tip that if everyone can remember, if you are looking in a learning management system or somewhere where the class is actually stored that you have to go to complete an assignment, if you will remember that you cannot see everything on your phone. You cannot see everything on your phone. So if an instructor says it's out there, and then the student says, but I don't see it. The learner says, I don't see it. And then when they go to the desktop or to a laptop, they'll be able to see it. Even with my phone, I was looking at Google Docs and someone had made a comment in Google Docs and I could not see the comment because I was looking at it on my phone. And so that's my tip.
Well, thank you so much for providing that tip. I would like to know, what would you consider your proudest digital or online learning accomplishment and why?
My proudest digital online accomplishment, I would have to say, again, stems from collaboration. And that is the fact that we put together a voluntary cross-functional team. And by cross-functional, I mean different areas of the campus came together to write grants for our students. And so in this past year, and of course because it's cross-functional, a lot of that was done digitally. We had a consultant, a lot of that was done digitally. And then we employed a piece of software, and then we employed AI. So these tools are helping us to come together, even if we're on the same campus. The tools that we are using are helping us. We pumped out 4 grants, in the tune to about $3 million in less than a year. And sometimes it takes about And we're still waiting to hear on funding from some of them, but sometimes it takes a long time to write these grants. And so what we're finding with the tools, AI, and even Zoom, and scheduling, Doodle poll, all of this is helping us to be able to service our learners faster.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, sharing this information, such rich information you've shared with us and our listeners. And so for our listeners, we want to thank you for taking time to join us for today's DOL Pod at Howard University's Office of Digital Online Learning, where we advance opportunities and expand our reach. Until next time, this has been Dr. Morris Thomas, your host, with my guest, Dr. Ouida McAfee, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.